I hope that if you guys had any vacations this summer or you go on some these last few weeks before school starts, I hope that you enjoy them and that some of these tips will help you to be able to not worry about your plants the whole time and actually be able to really enjoy it. You know what I mean? Hi guys, I'm Lauren. Welcome to my channel. It's so good to see you guys every week. I really appreciate it. Thank you for popping on in. Today is going to be a video about going on vacation and how to leave your little planties while you go on vacation. I'm going to toss out some of the things that I have done, some of the things that I wish I hadn't done. I've been back from vacation for about a week now and I'm just kind of recovering things, but I want to talk about everything that I did and everything that I probably would not do or would do next time. Basically, I want to give you all of the information and how I handle things, and maybe some of these tips and tricks can help you guys out, or maybe some of these don't do's will help you guys out. Maybe you can adapt some of these, drop any extra advice or extra ideas. If there's something that I could have done differently and you come up with a great idea for it, please, let's talk about it in the comments, guys. If you're not very comfortable commenting publicly down below, you can definitely just directly message me on Instagram. I'm happy to chat there anytime. At That Awkward Plant Girl on Instagram. I'm on daily, multiple times a day. It's kind of a problem just because I like to talk to people and then there's a bunch of plants, so it's kind of a dual-fold issue there. Anyway, alright, so let's dive into you being able to go on a planty vacation.
Alright guys, before we deep dive down into this, I did want to let you guys know that my approach to this is to plan for the worst and hope for the best. Not all of these will apply to your specific situations, so you guys will have to pick and choose what's going to work best for you guys. It's not a one size fits all. This is just what I did that worked for me. First thing we have to do is identify the plants that need the most care. So any propagations that are going to be running out of water while we're gone, any smaller jars, smaller pots of plants, we are going to have to get those taken care of and put in a different growing situation. So pot them up, put them in a terrarium, put them in a tank, greenhouse, repot them into bigger pots, whatever you got to do to make sure that they're going to actually last. Next up, we are going to want to take backup cuttings of our plants, especially our favorite ones that are more difficult care, that are probably not going to make it if left alone for so long. Definitely make sure you have backup plants of all of those. The next thing that we're going to have to worry about is lighting. Plants eat light, they need light. They also need darkness though. You cannot leave your lights on 24/7 while you're gone. This will kill them faster than anything else. You also can't leave them in the dark 24/7 if you're going to be gone for more than 1.5 to 2 weeks. So the first thing that I did was make sure that my plants all have natural light so that they can all have that natural light cycle. Even less light is better than no light, and they will be more likely to last longer with that. Another thing that we can do is set our grow lights on timers. One thing to be aware of though, if we do set our grow lights on timers, is that if the power goes out, the lights will not come back on. You will be out of light source. So you want to make sure you have some type of natural light set up for them just in case. Grow lights are great, especially if they need more light, but you want to be prepared for the worst thing that can happen, like no electricity. It actually did happen to me while I was away. Make sure you move furniture to the best lighting situations possible. For example, the bookshelf that I have does not have any grow lights on it. I made sure to move all of my plants off of it into a natural light area, so that way the light would shine directly on it onto the windows. But I did not want to put all my plants on the floor, so I made sure to move my greenhouse and have a good growing situation for them in there. Sometimes this is not always going to be possible, but when you can, it's better to do that. You also want to pay attention when you're moving your plants that you're not taking them from an incredibly low light area into a higher light situation where they're going to get burned and damaged and not be able to handle it. Pay attention to how bright the light is going to be and make sure that you use curtains accordingly. You can diffuse some of this light that's coming in by using a sheer curtain and hanging that up, or just pulling the plant back a little bit further away from the window. Next thing that we're going to worry about is pests. pests can take out a plant within a week. They really can, especially if they run amok unchecked or you didn't realize there was pests on your plant before you left. So what you're going to want to do is go over every single plant before you leave. You're going to want to remove any dead debris, any little places for pests to hide, remove any dead leaves, dead foliage. The leaf sheaths, a lot of mealybugs and spider mites will like to hide in there. It's a nice cozy little place for them. So make sure that you remove those if possible. The last thing that I would recommend, whether you're using a systemic or not, is to clean all your leaves. It's going to help them get as much light as possible to feed themselves while you're away. And it will also get rid of any pests that are currently on them. And if they are having a pest issue, you will notice it and be able to pull them away from your plants, and your plant will be more likely to survive while you're gone, and you won't come back to a decimated collection. Nobody wants to come back to a bunch of plants dead. The next thing that we're going to be concerned about is watering. Plants are going to need water. They can die very quickly if they don't have it, so we need to make sure that we get that taken care of. For me personally, I wait until right before I'm leaving to make sure that I water my plants the night before. If that means letting them go an extra day or two, just a little bit drier, I want to make sure that I water them right before I leave if possible. Not the next thing after that we need to be concerned about with watering is we can set up wicking systems where we place a wick inside the pot, and then it'll wick up moisture and it'll wick up the water into the pot, and that way our plant can receive continuous water. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this because it involves repotting your plants. So if you're only going to be gone for maybe a week and a half, probably not the best situation for you. But if you are planning a vacation for 2 weeks or more, I would definitely highly recommend it. Or if you have a plant like a peace lily, a phytonia, some calathea, I think they would appreciate the extra moisture and might need to be watered a bit more and might need that wicking system. For my calathea, I did make sure to use a self-watering planter, but I did have the wick removed and the humidity evaporated from under that and was able to help keep that extra moisture in there without rotting the roots of the plant. So all of my calathea did well while I was away, and I think it's a very effective method for a lot of those water-loving plants if you're going to be away from them for a while. If you have any pots of plants that tend to sit in water and are constantly being bottom watered like I do with my ferns, I highly recommend that you make sure that that is completely refilled before you leave on your vacation as well. Next up on the list is humidity. A lot of our plants are tropical plants. They're not going to make it in low humidity or they'll suffer and become prone to having pests while you're away. In order to keep that humidity up, there's a couple things that we can do. We can lump the plants together. If we have all the plants condensed together in one location, provided they're pest-free, of course, it will help them survive and make a humidity bubble around them and keep that humidity more contained with their leaves touching each other. And another thing that we can do is we can put them in greenhouses. I have a little greenhouse that I use. We can also put them in their own little fish tank terrariums. I've done that before as well. We can also, if you don't have one of those, you can take a clear tote, like you'll see them used a lot as prop boxes, but you can get bigger ones. Make sure that it has a clear lid, and you can use that as a viable greenhouse while you're away. It's not the best looking permanent solution, but it definitely works well in an emergency situation while you're away. And if you have a smaller plant in need of humidity, you can contain it in a jar. You'll see several jars I have where I make mini terrariums, and I just put the plants in there, and that helps the humidity stay contained for it. If you happen to have a humidifier, you need to make sure that it's filled up before you go, and that way hopefully it will last as long as possible. Larger humidifiers are going to last longer than the smaller ones, of course. So I'm not saying go out and buy a brand new humidifier for while you're away. I'm just saying that's something to be aware of and take in mind when you are going, how long your humidifier will last or not. The last thing to be aware of is the environment that your plants are going to be living in. Temperature control and airflow, essentially, are what you really need to be worried about here. I did not think about this. This is where I went wrong, guys. While I was away, there was a heat wave. The power went out. I did not leave a fan on. My plants suffered horribly, especially a lot of my ferns. In the greenhouse, the temperatures were incredibly high, and then they had no airflow in there, and the humidity got really high. This caused mold issues in my greenhouse while I was gone. If I had had some type of battery-operated fan going in there 24/7, it would not have caused as much of a problem. Also, if I had left windows open for the heat to escape, or I had moved my plants downstairs in a cooler environment, then my plants would not have suffered as much as they did. The plants down in my bathroom fared far better than the ones upstairs in my greenhouse. Plants do suffer in extremely high or low temperatures, so you need to make sure that anything over 85 degrees and anything under 55 degrees, your plants will be taking damage. So it's very important that you have as much temperature control while you're away as possible.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope this was helpful for you guys. Definitely make sure to subscribe. I have some awesome content coming for you guys. Eventually it will be a plant room tour after I get everything all situated. If you have anything that you would like to ask for me to make, definitely drop the comments down below or message me on Instagram. And with that being said, I hope you have an amazing week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!